The Paul Leslie Interviews.
Ladies and gentlemen, the man we're talking to is Mark Kubr. He's joining us from California.
Yes, sir.
All right, how you doing today?
I'm wonderful. And you, Paul?
I'm doing well. I want to go back a little bit. I think most stories are best from the beginning. Where were you born?
I was born in Chicago, Illinois.
Chicago, Illinois. And
Yeah.
Kubr, that's a last name you don't hear every day.
Yeah, I'm 100% Czech. I spoke Czech before I spoke English.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my dad was a political refugee. He escaped.
So English is your second language.
It is, yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about your parents?
My father is left us, and my mom is in San Clemente, California, which is just like if you split Los Angeles, San Diego in half, it's like right there. It's by the San Onofre nuclear power plant, and the claim to fame from that small town was the home of the Western White House when President Nixon moved in there.
Ah, I thought it was really interesting reading about you and about your early days and the job you had at the grocery store, bagging groceries.
Yeah, that was, I mean, my father and my parents both actually believed in hard work, so if I really wanted a camera, I wanted a guitar, I had to go earn it. So, they helped, of course. It was, the wages were very minimal wages, but they appreciated hard work. So they applauded hard work, and they helped out when they could to, get those things that I wanted. Extracurricular activities, as it is,
Was that your first job?
That's a great question. No, I washed dishes at a local restaurant when I was like 14. And then actually bagging groceries and stocking shelves. They promoted me from bagging groceries to stocking shelves. So I was on a partial scholarship too when I left high school and when I went to school in San Diego. So I would work, all night stocking shelves and then go to school and then try to get in shape for the volleyball teams and all that stuff. So it was a great, great, charmed life that I led. I have no regrets whatsoever. And hard work pays off, Paul, that's for sure.
And tell us about the encounter that you had with Jean DeWitt.
Jean DeWitt was the voice of Wilma Flintstone. And she was like at the top of her game doing voiceovers. And she was an actress. She was a celebrated actress in her day. And she saw me bagging groceries. And I would walk, back then, the manager of the store was Alpha Beta, Leon Riley. Oh, gosh, I don't even know. It was a long time ago. I remember his name. It's interesting how people affect your lives. You remember their names. So Leon Riley was always like, if you see, an older lady, you don't even ask her for if she'd like help to her car. You just automatically insist on taking baggage, to her car. So we got to talking a couple of times. I had the honor and privilege of, walking her to her car, and she was like, gosh, you're so, whatever, I didn't mean to sound like a vain LA person, but you're so handsome and you're this and that, you should, I want to take you to my agent. I want to take you to my agent, and that was a big, powerful agent at the time. And it was WHJ, Windsor Health Fund and Joseph. And I started doing print for them. And it worked itself out really good. And, after my dad insisted I get a college degree, I got the degree. And after that, I just left San Clemente and San Diego, never looked back, and stuck it out with that agent for a while. And, just, again, hard work, just hitting the pavement, going to castings, getting stuck in the LA traffic and beating the pavement. Hard work.
So with all the things that you've done, this stunt coordinating, the acting, having done all kinds of things, what would you say defines you? What do you think is the essence of Mark Kubr professionally?
Wow, you got some tough questions, brother. Defines me professionally.
Or would you say that it's many things?
It's many things. I know. I've always fascinated with art, photography, filmmaking. And then when I got to really work on some big, big things, I saw how organized it was. It wasn't like chaos. So what I what defines me in that professional realm of what I do is just like a well-groomed, functioning machine, and I love the discipline behind it, and I embrace that as a professional in our business. I like the the hard work ethic of it all. It just works well for me in my life. I understand it. I get it. I embrace it. Does that answer your question, Paul?
Yeah, it does. This Lionsgate film, the one that a lot of people are talking about, La La Land, which...
Yeah, amazing.
Tell us a little bit about this. How did you come into the picture, no pun intended?
So a friend of mine, his name is Charlie Crowell. He is one of the biggest, if not like, anyway, just a big player in the stunt world. And he was working on something else, and he had read the script, and he goes, "Gosh, I think you're perfect for this." And so he handed me that movie, and I met with Damien, Mr. Chazelle, the director of the movie, and we got along. And I found out look, it's his vision. So as a stunt coordinator, what you do is you talk to the director and you find out scene by scene. Well, there's a traffic jam, and there's going to be all these people stuck on a huge freeway on-ramp to another huge freeway here in LA from the 105 to the 110. And I don't know if you've seen the film, but you can see downtown. And anyway, so you get stuck in this massive traffic jam, and he has the dancers come out of their cars and dance on top of these cars. And there was I think there was 40 dancers, and that was choreographed by Mandy Moore. And they get on top of the roofs of the cars, and intertwined in this, he wanted some stunts. So, and not per se like explosions and fights and, nothing like that. He wanted it, and I understood the vision. He wanted it to read LA, stuck in a traffic jam, what could happen here? So what we decided on was a parkour guy, a BMX guy, getting his bicycle out of the bed of his truck, a professional skateboarder, and a gymnast. And we combined all these disciplines within the dance move. And I hope all your listeners out there can go see this and remember me speaking about the freeway sequence in this movie. It's absolutely breathtaking, amazing. So I don't know if we're the first ones to ever intertwine stunts and dancing. I can't make that claim, but what we did, what we accomplished in that was just, Damon and I have been emailing back and forth, and he actually, a quote from him, what rocks in this movie is your stunt team and the freeway sequence. And that was just, gosh, getting that email from, him is amazing. Wow, did I talk too much?
No, not at all. What did it feel like when you saw the filmed, what you had just done?
You can't help but feeling proud. Just elated and proud, and you sit back and you take a sigh and you just go, gosh, everyone, that I hired, that I put into this spot absolutely did their best. It was terrifying, especially for the young black gymnast we had, Olivia. She had to do a backflip off the car. And you pray to God, and then you'll see it. I don't want to ruin it. And the pride that you have in the people that trusted you, like they'll look in your eye and saying, well, everything's going to be safe here, right? This car is not going to move. This dancer's not going to get in my way. And I go, no, we're all on the same page. Every single dancer knows where to stop. There was elements there that, were a little unnerving. So everybody pulled it together. No one got hurt. Everyone walked away from it. And I guess the word is proud. Just proud. And not just, in myself, of the team, of the stunt team, and the dance team.
It sounds like there was a lot of concern there about the safety.
Oh, I lost sleep. I definitely lost sleep. I had 2 or 3 girls come, no, more than that, and try to audition for the team. And, of course, there was rehearsal time, and we couldn't get on the freeway, so we had lined all these cars up, and some obscure neighborhood in Los Angeles, and so I was looking for this black girl that was she had a family, and she got stuck in a traffic jam, and they danced, and she got on top of the cars and got into the dance routine with the dancers and did a backflip. So you can't just call someone, just go, hey, how's your backflip off a car? So I made everyone come and look at it. And then with obviously Damien wanted to just look at every single person I hired as well. So, and Mandy. So, 3 or 4 girls get there, and I go, pro gymnast. I mean, these top of their game. I made some phone calls to gymnastics girls I know in LA, and I go, can you recommend a young black girl? Anyway, so 3 or 4 people show up. They get on top of the roof, and one knees just started wobbling like, it's high, and it's metal, and there's cars next to you, they're metal, and then there's asphalt that you're going to hit. And it's a margin of error that was like, wow. And then I remember one girl getting on top of it, does the backflip, does it twice, and I said, okay, now let's put the cars the way they're going to be situated on the street. So at the transportation department on that, we aligned the cars the way Damien wanted to see the cars in the traffic jam. So as you know, when you're stuck in a traffic jam, the cars are pretty close. You stop close to each other. So the girl gets back on the car, and her knees started wobbling, her ankles started wobbling. She looks down, looks over here. Can we move that? I go, no, please don't do it. Don't do it. It's not, walk away from this. This is not the job for you. There'll be more. This is not it. And then here comes her girl, Olivia. She gets there, and she was recommended to me. Never done stunts. First movie ever. She walks on the set. It's like it was a rehearsal. And I remember her face. And I go, can you do this? And, boink, lands it. We, move the cars the way they were going to be situated on the day we were shooting. Boink does it again. I look at Damien, he's like, okay. I go, yeah. Then I remember her face and the magnitude when we were shooting. We get there, it was dark. The sun was just not even coming up, and we were playing the music that the dancers were going to dance to. And I just remember looking at Olivia's face, and I go, welcome to Hollywood. I mean, it doesn't get any better than this. And she was just like stunned. I mean, we owned the freeway. We owned I think there was 200 cars. And it was a major, 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 major undertaking by all departments in La La Land.
Was it necessary for these people? Were they in really good shape?
Oh, you bet. And I have a newfound respect for dancers. My goodness. Watching dancing, wow. It was breathtaking. I mean, I cried during all the rehearsals, I don't know what it was. I was so moved by what we did and what we put together. It was amazing. Amazing. It was such a, gosh, what a blessing to be part of that production, that movie.
We're talking with actor and stunt coordinator Mark Kubr.
Hi, everybody.
I wanted to ask you a little bit just about working with stars as a whole when it comes to stunt coordinating. What's the most challenging thing about this?
Well, gosh, your questions are so. I'm in a movie called Iron Man 3. I'm not the stunt coordinator, but I was hired by the stunt coordinator because I was a decent actor. I can say a line or two without screwing it all up, and everybody feels safe, right, with me speaking. But along with that speaking role in Iron Man 3 and this new movie called The Nice Guys, I have fight. And one of those fight scenes, or both of them, with Iron Man 3 was with Mr. Downey, and The Nice Guys was with Russell Crowe. And the biggest thing is what you don't want to goof up is hitting the actor in the fight scene. Because everybody's looking at you, and you're just going in. It's a fight, and there's dialogue within the fight, and you want to make it look real. Because people just don't go at it, in a fight and not talk. You just, hey, you can get this, boom, bam, whatever. And the biggest concern is when you're that tight, and there's maybe a weapon involved, or there's in Iron Man 3, it was all his, the suit comes in, his boot comes in, and I'm fighting with him with partial boot, partial glove, and it's a pretty tight fight. We're inches away from each other's faces, and the same thing with Russell Crowe. So the biggest concern is keeping the actor safe. I mean, he gets hurt and we all go home. So there's, you don't want to hurt the lead actor. Because, again, if he goes, then we all pack up. And, yeah, of course, you don't want to hit another human being. So.
Right. Now, when you're giving suggestions or instructions, do the stars, do the actors, are there ever occasions where they just listen, or are there ever occasions where there's a little bit of pride and they don't listen?
For the most part, if there's like a good fight scene and you hire like a choreographer and you do this, for the most part, I'd say 99% listen. And because they want to be safe, especially if they're fighting like a bunch of stunt guys. Let's say there's 5 stunt guys. But they'll interject what they want to do. Well, I don't, and you want to hear that. You want to hear, I had the pleasure of working with Don Cheadle on a TV series called The House of Lies. I was the coordinator. And he got the snot kicked out of him in this alleyway by these two, they're stuntmen, but they were playing cops. And, he goes, well, I don't, maybe this, maybe that, or how can we make this different because I don't want to do that. And then you really want to listen to that, because if he's not comfortable doing something that you think should work, it's all about athleticism. A player can't perform that task, so you take him out of the game. Or you change his position. So it's the same thing holds true with fight choreography like that. And for the most part, yeah, you listen to one another, and then, God willing, you walk away and everybody's safe, and you put together something that's special for the audience to see.
Just some of the people that you have mentioned just in this interview, but there are many others, very, very iconic names. What would you say is the biggest myth about Hollywood actors?
The vanity everybody portrays them, and they're very caring people. Usually an artist has, an amazing soft side. Many of them are so kind and donate so much money and do the charity work. And, I'm involved with the charity with Charlie Crowell called Earth's Oceans, and it's about getting the plastic out of the water. And you ask, well, can you wear our T-shirt? Can you do this? Will you do that? And then all, sure. So, I think that's from the kind of artsy side of people. They're caring and giving and really, for the most part, wanting to help. And the vanity part, of course, there's some knuckleheads out there giving a bad name, but for the most part, the artists are just such solid, caring, nice people.
We're talking with Mark Kubr, one of the hands and minds involved in this new film, La La Land. What did you think of La La Land as a whole?
Brilliant. I love musicals. I'm a Dick Van Dyke fan. I loved dancing, Fred Astaire fan. So for me to be a part of something like that I was already a fan of those things. And when I'd read it and all the stuff that was going on, I was so thankful to Charlie Crowell, for giving me the opportunity to be involved with this. And Charlie had the foresight to actually go, you're a perfect fit for this, because, again, we're involved with a couple different things. And that, was fantastic for me. And Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone, wow. And they both sing and dance in this movie. I think he learned to play the piano, and she they dance. It was a moving thing. It's very, very heartfelt.
And tell us, what did you think about the music in this movie, La La Land?
A lot of it's original. John Legend's involved. So and again, City of Stars, there's a couple trailers out. I have 2 kids, and they're singing City of Stars, and they just seen it from the trailer. There's original places in this movie that are the musical score. Amazing. It'll move you. It honestly will move you. There's another scene if you want to talk about it.
Yeah, please.
It involves, I'm going to go to my computer so I can make sure I'm telling you the correct thing. But his name was Stephen White. And it is a scene. And again, I'm not going to tell you why or how, because I don't want to ruin it for your listeners or yourself even. So there's a scene. It takes place in, how can I say this without giving away? So it takes place in a Hollywood mansion. And there's a dance number again. And there's a guy on top of the second story that dives into a shallow pool. And he's in a tux, and that's all I'm going to say because I don't want to give it away again. And he had to do this dive 32 times. So it takes place at night, and he's in a tux. And so, obviously he had to get him out. The wardrobe department had like 4 or 5 tuxes. No one knew it was going to, take this many takes to do it. But we got there, and it's a night party, so we did this one scene all night long. And he was a trooper. I found him actually in San Clemente, and I gave him a chance as a stunt person, and he's proven his worth to me. He was my daughter's gymnastics coach. And I brought him in, and he practiced the dive on his own. Showed Damien like 2 or 3 versions of the flip and what he wanted. It wasn't just, don't just think it's a dive. It's actually in the first trailer, so I can't really give away that much anyway. And again, 31 or 32 times, and his wardrobe got so much water because, again, I don't know if you remember, but I told you that we only had like 4 or 5 different tuxes. So the shoes accumulated so much water that we had to drill holes in the bottom of the shoes so we could drain the water from his wardrobe. And that was another amazing part of La La Land stunt team.
When somebody has worked with you and you're not there, what do you hope that they say about you?
I hope that they say, wow, that Mark kept me safe. Mark was kind. I'm not a yeller. Mark was accommodating, made sure that I was taken care of where even down to like when you hire girls down to their shoes. Are these heels too high? Can you comfortable? Talk to the wardrobe department. Talk to every single person, that's going to be involved with my stunting. Hair, makeup, wardrobe, the director, what exactly do you want? Do you think that you might give him or her a line? Do you think that you're going to add extra action? Do you think that he's limber enough? Does he need to kick this? Do you think you might change the fight and you have to kick higher? Do you think, all these things start popping in your head? What happens if he wanted the skateboarder to do something that the skateboarder couldn't do? So you think out of the box, so you just go, well, I know, stunt players that skateboard, but maybe we need to dig deeper and get a professional skateboarder. Because if we get there, so we get there and let's take, for example, Damien says, well, can we add this? And then you go to the skateboarder, do you feel safe adding this? And hopefully he'll say yes, and you go back to the director and you say yes, and you realize you've hired the right guy. So in hiring someone, you want to hire someone that's not going to get hurt, that's going to make you look good, and they look good, so you can get another job after you've done this. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I have to say, before we were doing this interview, because so much of what you would describe is visual, I was concerned, like, how are we going to express what's going on? But you've done so masterfully.
Oh, thank you, Paul. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
My pleasure. What is the best thing about what you do? What do you enjoy most about this?
In what aspect of my career? Like as an actor or, let's say, stunt coordinator?
I would say just as a whole, as your life pertains to your work.
I've been fortunate enough to feed a family in this career. I've been fortunate enough to call people that need to work and ask them, do you want to work? I love being able to pick up the phone and like Olivia, like making her dream come true. And picking up the phone and talking to her mom or talking to someone and saying, yes, I'd like to hire her for this, and she's going to have to do that. And, to be the ability to pick up the phone and put someone to work in a career that they want to do. Let's face it, it's tough out there. And for the competition is insane. And it's such a pleasure to be able to, again, I don't want to sound redundant, but pick up the phone and offer someone a job. I love it. I absolutely love it.
So why do you suppose that some people make it and some people don't?
I don't know. It saddens me. I know a lot of people that packed up and have gone. And like they say, timing is everything. Like, the story I told before, I don't know if some listeners tune in later, but when I saw Steven, the pool jumper in La La Land, teaching my kids gymnastics. And then we went down to the beach. We had like a little family day at the beach, and he was down there doing somersaults and doing all this stuff. I'm like, you ever thought about stunts? There's so many stories of, people coming out here and not making it, but, and then you pray, you just hope that they're going to be okay, and they leave. And, hey, I thought about it. I thought, when times were dry, it was like, gosh, is my next job coming soon? Oh my gosh, am I doing the right thing? Blah, blah, blah. So you start second guessing yourself. But you know what? You can't do that. This is what you really want to do. I think if it's in you and you have to do it, you have to put everything in it, or else you're going to hate yourself later. I never wanted to sit down in the car, sit down on the couch and say, what if? What happens if? I should have met this guy. I should have really tried. I should have, instead of going to the beach, instead of going surfing, what was I thinking? How come I didn't go to this? The opportunities that pass you by. You got one life. So you got to make the best of it.
What would you say is a commonality among people in the film industry of those who are making it?
Hard work and talent. Bruce Lee, I was a big fan of Bruce Lee. He said, if you want to, develop your kick. Go in the garage and kick. So you want to be an actor? Act. Do stage. You can't afford stage? In the junior college. You want to be a stuntman? Okay, what do you want to? What's the discipline? What do you have? What kind of traits do you have? Well, I played football. Great. So you're strong? Yeah. I can run. I can catch. I can do stuff. Okay. So find the stunt coordinators that played football. Find if there's a football movie going on. Find, like I'm a BMX guy. I'm a skateboarder. I'm like, you have to just think about your abilities, your attributes, what your all those things, and put them into play. I remember, who was it? I think it was Jamie Foxx. I can't remember. It's either Jamie Foxx. No, it was Jamie Foxx. And he was doing an interview, and he thanked his grandmother for making him do sports or doing stuff because he had to throw a football. And he goes, it's like a deck of cards. I can throw a football. I can do this. Here's another card. Yes, I can do this. I can do that. I can do that. I can dribble a basketball. So it was all these things, just whatever you're doing in your life, especially if the stunt player, the sports, and all the action stuff, keep doing them. And then get a hold of the people that can hire you and get off your butt and figure it out.
Just picking up little pieces here and there from the interview, and also having read your bio, the ocean is something you're really, really passionate about. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, again, I was raised in San Clemente, small little beach town, and I actually kind of was not good at sports. I was a late bloomer, and surfing in the ocean was something I could do without getting ridiculed, and without no one laughing at me, and without no one, So I bought a surfboard from bagging groceries, washing dishes. I didn't know I was washing dishes as long before that at a garage sale. I picked it up and I just walked down to the beach by myself. And the ocean literally changed my life. And that, the serenity of it, the peacefulness of it, I would just paddle out there, sit down, and think, and again, just be by myself and not be the last person picked for each, school team. So that consequently got me balanced. It gave me upper body strength. So just be by myself.
Just in all, your whole life, not just professionally, what is the best thing about being Mark Kubr?
The best thing. I just love life.
Why?
I love my family and friends. I think a lot of it's what I do. It doesn't define me, I have a lot of things that define me, but the father, the husband, the fight choreographer, the stunt choreographer, the stunt coordinator, actor, modeling. I loved. I mean, this word blessing gets tossed around so much that blessed. I just lay my head down at night and just go, thank you, thank you very much.
So for anyone who's joining us, anyone listening in, what would you say to the audience?
Be kind to people. Follow your dream. Don't let anyone give you any negative BS. You're beautiful. Carry on.
My last question.
Sir.
Who is Mark Kubr?
I'm your friend.
I like that. Well, Mark, thank you very much for sharing with us.
You're welcome. Thank you, sir.
It's a pleasure to talk to you.
You too.
All right.
Bye.
Best wishes.